Dina Dahl, legal correspondent for Midas Touch, and our friend Paul Butler, Georgetown law professor, author, and legal thinker extraordinaire. Thank you both we went a little bit late on that A block, so thank you for your patience. Just want to go through these stories one by one. And Dina, I want to start with you on John Bolton. I think a lot of people heard that guilty plea and are like, how could he be guilty of something Trump did? And he's facing 5 years in prison and a $2 million fine. And Trump, it was like,
if Trump wasn't elected president, he probably would be behind bars, because the evidence that Jack Smith had against him in that classified documents case was, we still haven't, frankly, even seen it all, because Judge Cannon hasn't released it. But he, as you pointed out in the pictures of the bathroom, he did far worse. And we know enough. But the American people gave him a get out of free jail card. You can't really spin it any other way. If he had been able to continue to trial, I do think he would have gotten some sort of punishment.
Same thing to you, Paul. Federal prosecutors, like Jack Smith to me seems like the most by the book guy you could possibly come up with. Like, he doesn't seem like he would do an egregious, malicious prosecution. In your view, when you look back on the Jack Smith case, did he have as much evidence as they clearly had on Bolton?
I think he did, but as Dina said, we'll never know, because Judge Cannon has refused to release the prosecutor report, and she, of course, dismissed the case. Even this extremely conservative Supreme Court probably would have overturned that decision, and that case may have gone to trial, but for President Trump being reelected. But Joy, I got to tell you, I'm mad at the Justice Department about its ridiculous prosecution of Congressman Monica McIver. I'm mad at it about what it tried to do and is still trying to do with Letitia James. I'm mad at it about James Comey. I'm not so mad about this prosecution. Bolton pled guilty. This investigation was started during the first Trump administration, but it picked up steam during the Biden administration. The prosecutor who brought the case is one of the more respected appointees of Donald Trump, the U.S. Attorney in Maryland, and career professionals also signed off on the case. Two federal judges who authorized search warrants believed that there was probable cause. And when Bolton was writing his book, Trump tried to stop him from publishing the book. The judge in that case said, I'm not going to stop the book publication, but Mr. Bolton, just so you know, you are looking at jail time if you're ever prosecuted for this case.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that was a pretty open stuff. He admitted he did it. He seemed to have done it. All right, let's go to some of these other cases. I'm going to set the UN case aside for now, because this is sort of an international law case that is just, it's sad, it's horrific, but it's like sort of confirmatory. But I want to go to this case about this little 1-year-old. I'm going to go in reverse order. I'm going to start with you, Paul. Police officers opened fire on a car with a woman with a baby in her lap. There's a claim there's a shoplifting of some diapers, which cost like maybe $20. The mom says she has a receipt for the diapers, but her baby's dead. The family is asking for a new autopsy. What could that do? What would that solve? And this is obviously going to be a civil case.
The autopsy would reveal exactly how the baby died. It might reveal some information about where the officer who murdered this child was when he or she shot. It's a civil case, Joy. These officers should be charged with homicide, fast, quick, and in a hurry. This case, the crime that they were investigating was shoplifting diapers. The mother and no one else in the car was implicated in this theft. But what the police did that was most egregious was to shoot at a moving car when they knew that there were at least 2 innocent people in the car, including this 1-year-old child. Every professional police officer knows you do not shoot at a moving car. Why don't you? Because this is precisely the kind of tragedy that might happen.
Right. Dina, it does remind me of the Renee Nicole Good situation. Mm-hmm. There are lots of other people in the street, and the same claim is made. The claim is being made that the car was driving at the officer. They need to prove that, right? I mean, they're just making a claim that the car was being driven at them. They did the same with Renee Nicole Good. But it seems to me it's never a safe or a good idea in a crowded parking lot to shoot at a moving vehicle. You could kill anyone.
Absolutely. And really, shooting at a moving vehicle doesn't stop the vehicle from moving toward you either. But this is why they're looking in part for the autopsy, because the autopsy will help show the direction that the bullets were fired, how many bullets were fired, in order to refute, because the baby's mother says they weren't even going toward the police. So that information that they can get independently from the autopsy is helpful. But also, I know the families and people connected, attorneys connected to the case, also say the fact that they haven't released the body cam footage already is in itself revealing, because that is usually what happens if the body cam footage is helpful to the police's theory of the case, right? That's the first thing they show. It's like, if they don't want an alternative story to get out. So the fact that hasn't been shown yet leads credence to the mother's story. But the autopsy, that is in part why they want to know it, is that will help prove the direction of those bullets.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of surveillance footage, the Carmelo Anthony case is now going to appeal. His attorneys are filing an appeal right now. I'm going to go in reverse order again, Dina. There is now, the surveillance video has been released by Texas authorities. We're playing a sped up version. It shows the sequence of events when these two teenagers arrived at a track meet. This is a brightened up version of it that was released by a local news organization in Dallas. So it looks a lot brighter. The actual video looks very gray because it was raining. You can really tell in the other video that it's raining. It shows the arrival. The people are very small in here, but I can tell you there's a little circle showing the arrival both of Carmelo Anthony and also of the young man who was killed and his brother. And you see Carmelo Anthony go into the tent where he's going to get out of the rain, take a seat in the back row of the tent. And then you can see the young man who was killed later confront him, go up to him twice while he's sitting under the tarp. And I'm wondering, it appears that they were the ones confronting Carmelo Anthony. I don't know if this video was used during the course of the trial, but when you look at this case, do you feel that Carmelo Anthony's attorneys did a thorough job in presenting a self-defense defense?
Well, that is exactly what is going to be the issue in his appeal, because even this footage where you see them the man who died and the young man that died and his brother.
His name was Austin Metcalf. Sorry,
yes, Justin Metcalf, and his brother confront Carmelo, tied together with the body cam footage that was also recently released, where he says, he put his hands on me. And we know the size difference. All of that definitely should have been part of the defense's argument and been presented to the jury about self-defense. I think a big issue on appeal also, though, of course, is going to be the fact that the prosecutor struck the 3 Black jurors. And interestingly, the Supreme Court, that has disappointed us so many times recently, just had a 5-4 decision in favor of somebody who was on death row, where the Black jurors were struck. And Kavanaugh wrote that opinion saying, his defense attorney didn't have enough chance to contest that, surprisingly. But, evidently this is Kavanaugh, since he was in Yale Law School, actually cares about this issue, which may be a glimmer of hope that, if this does ever work its way to the Supreme Court. But at the end of the day, right, it's a self-defense theory is all about whether or not you can convince a jury. So it really matters who those jurors are and putting themselves in the perspective of the defendant. And that's why we care so much about the jury of our peers. Indeed.
And to that point that you made, Dina, I want to play for you, Paul. This is the actual arrest video. And I think the significant thing for you who are listening to listen for is the immediate defense that Carmelo Anthony makes to the arresting officer, which to me, this is a moment when he's not in a court. He's not been advised by counsel what to say. He probably shouldn't have said anything. But what he says to me does not speak to some sort of intent to kill this other young man. Take a listen.
Hold on. And I'm protecting myself. If somebody is shooting the victim, they need to be over there.
North end under a memorial pen.
Don't reach for anything, all right, man? Stop right there for me.
Right there.
Dispatch 443. I got the suspects, and they're currently treating the victim. Again, he's on the north end of the stadium. All right. Any weapons on you like that? I got the alleged suspect in handcuffs right now, detained. Have a seat here real quick, man. Watch your head. Let me check your hood here, buddy, okay?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll tell you what, lean this way so you're not resting on your hands, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, see a little bit of blood on your hands there, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
402, I'm on scene.
So your first name is Carmelo?
Yes, sir. A-R-M-E-L-O.
Let's see, hold on one second.
Is he gonna be okay?
I don't know yet, man. Carmelo, C-A-R-A.
K-A-R.
K-A-R.
M-E-L-O.
M-E-L-O, Carmelo. What's your last name?
Anthony.
A-N-T-H.
O-N-Y.
O-N-Y. Where are you in?
I'm in 12th grade.
10th grade? You go to Emerson?
No, sir.
Where do you go? Centennial. Okay.
I'm in 12th grade. 12th grade.
12th grade?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, Centennial. All right, sit tight for me real quick, bud, all right?
So he says the first thing he says is I was protecting myself. Does that help?
Yes, it should have. That was his defense at trial, which the jury rejected. Joy, what they also rejected was the alternative of sentencing him or convicting him of manslaughter, which would have carried a significantly lower sentence than the murder charge that he was convicted of in the 35 years that he got. To Dina's point, the jurors are asked to put themselves in the position of the defendant to see if he reasonably believed that his life was in danger. And these white jurors had a really difficult time putting themselves in the position of this young black man. When I look at that video, I see a scared teenager who does not believe that he did anything wrong and is not trying to hide anything from the police and says that, yes, I assailed the victim here and I did it because he put his hands on me. That was self-defense. And just really quickly to underscore such an important point you made when you introduced this video, Joy, if you get arrested by the police, shut the heck up. Even if you are innocent, do not tell them anything, because what they will do is exactly what they did to Carmelo. Whatever you say, they will use it against you.
Yes, indeed. He immediately starts talking, and right, having done this for so long, my first thought was you should not be talking, young man. Appreciate both of you. It really did take me back to the Trayvon Martin case, and that trial rested on whether the jurors related more to Trayvon Martin or to his assailant, which one they could relate to. And because, again, there was not one black juror, there was one black Latina juror. That's what we found in the end, but she was overridden, we later found out, by the other jurors who all related to the killer and not to him. And so they decided that he was the victim. And that is the way things go. That's why you need a jury of your peers. Dina Dahl and Paul Butler, appreciate you guys. Hopefully you guys can come back and talk more legal stuff, more legal news on the show. Thank you both.
Thanks for having me.